All right, we are here with Bellator middleweight contender John Salter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Oh, fantastic, man. Glad we can finally get this thing done. It's been a little bit of Instagram tag, but I think we got it. Obviously, you're here.
Yeah.
All right, so you got a fight coming up. You're fighting, am I saying his name right, Steenis?
Yeah, Costello Ben Steenis.
Okay. Talk to me about your upcoming fight. What does this guy bring to the table that we need to keep an eye on?
I think he's like a younger version of Masasi. He does the same type of stuff, but I don't think he does any of it as well. Pretty good Dutch kickboxing. He wrestles pretty decently. Really good at getting up when he's on the ground. And he's real aggressive. He stays in your face for 3 rounds. He doesn't go away. So he's all around tough guy. I don't think there's any way that he's just not good.
Okay. But where are we better than him?
I really think everywhere. I think my kickboxing is a little more crisp than him. I think my wrestling is going to be, a part where I can really stand out over him. And, when I put him on the ground, it's going to be a different world than he's ever felt before.
I can definitely agree with that. Your ground game is pretty fucking up there, man. you're pretty good at the ground stuff.
I appreciate that. I've worked on everything, spent a lot of time kickboxing, but, I know my bread and butter is my grappling, so try to focus on getting with the best guys I can all the time to make sure I'm always getting better there.
Okay, well, both you guys have pretty decent careers in Bellator so far. Him being undefeated, you being 6-1, but I believe your level of competition has been a little bit steeper than his. Do you think that's going to play a factor in this fight?
Yeah, I think so. I think the only guy he's ever fought that was really, a high-level opponent would be Chris Honeycutt, and you can go watch that fight. He lost that fight. He did a very good job. He fought very well. I was impressed with a lot of stuff he did in that fight, but he lost that fight. The judges gave it to him, and that's fine. That's good for him. But I've watched it several times. I know several people that watched it. I followed that card and was watching it in the back room. Chael Sonnen was commentating, and he didn't think he won that fight. I don't think anybody thought that, but he fought a really good fight and showed that he's a very game opponent by coming forward in the 3rd round after a long fight. So I was very impressed with the way he fought that, but that's the best competition he's fought, I think, for sure, and I don't think that went the right way.
Okay. Now, are you hoping for a dog fight? Do you like the competition of a dog fight, or are we looking to just get in and out as quick as possible?
Yeah, a dog fight sounds awful. I train for that all the time. I'm always prepped for that. That's how every practice goes, is that in-your-face grinding fight just makes you miserable. But you always want that where you get out untouched,
Yeah, obviously. And with training, how's that been going?
Really good. I think, the loss to Lovato, I felt like that was, I won the first 2 rounds, and that 3rd round I came out and my mind just wasn't where it should be. I made bad decisions, and, you make one bad decision on Lovato and he's going to put you away.
Yeah.
And that kind of forced me to evaluate what I'm doing. So, realistically, as dumb as it sounds, I was kind of running my own camps for a long time, all my fights to Bellator. And this time, now, I'm having Jeff Jimmo run what I'm doing, help me with game planning, help me with cardio, everything like that. Now I've gotten, a conditioning coach and a movement coach, so I think things are changing. I feel like I'm a different fighter than I've ever been, and I think you're going to see that more and more every fight from here on out.
Well, you got a lot of first-round finishes. You've got fights in Bellator, UFC, Strikeforce, going all the way back. I see lots of good wins on your record, so it's definitely not padded. And you're fan-friendly with your fighting style, with all of your finishes. And you got a lot of wins via submission. A lot of them. Like, a lot. Like, a lot.
Yeah, that's something I learned early on. I made the mistake a few times early on of really just headhunting, looking for a finish. When I say headhunting, not necessarily trying to take their head off with a punch, but just always looking for a finish, selling out for a finish. And I've won fights where I finish, and then I'm just absolutely exhausted when there's no excuse for me to be tired.
Yeah.
And I learned, rather than that, my jiu-jitsu is a high enough level that I don't need to hunt for that. I take my time, put people in bad position, let them make bad mistakes, and I think it's really led to me getting more finishes on higher level people, that rather than, like Kendall Grove's a perfect example. That's a guy that if you go out there and hunt a finish on, you're never going to get it. But,
Yeah.
I took my time, I was patient, I let him put himself in a bad position, and then I took it.
Yeah, that's definitely a guy. He's tough. So trying to put that guy away is kind of silly.
Yeah, and that was my game plan for that, was just try to keep him in bad position for 3 rounds, and hopefully he'll make a mistake, and I was fortunate enough that he made a mistake in the first round.
Yeah. He's a good opponent, though. I like watching Kendall fight, so that's definitely a good win for you.
He's a great guy. I'm more of a fan. I've always been a fan of Kendall. I'm more of a fan now since I fought him than ever, because he just turned out to be such a good guy.
Yeah. And he's got a lot of fucking swag, and the way he talks, too. I can listen to that dude forever.
Yeah, we got to the hotel for the fight the first day I was there, and I saw him in the lobby, and he's like, "Salto, what's up?" So I walked over, I shook his hand, he's like, "All right, let's beat the crap out of each other." And then I looked at my buddy, he's like, "He's got a very different game plan than I have, because that sounds awful."
Yeah, that does sound awful, and I think you're doing a pretty good job staying away from that with all of your finishes. What's your favorite submission to pull off in a fight?
Oh, gosh. I guess, I'm not going to say my favorite submission because I've actually never gotten in a fight. So I hope maybe this will be the one. But I think, what's funny is in the gym, I can never rear naked choke anyone. And
rear naked choke.
I know. I feel like when I get in the gym and I take people's back, I'm like, why am I here? I'm not even going to get this. But then I get in fights and I finish it all the time. I don't know if it's a little extra adrenaline or what that gets me there.
Yeah, you got a lot of them. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Damn. 6 plus.
Yeah, I'm a pretty good back taker, but I rarely finish from there in jiu-jitsu tournaments and in practice. But I finish there in fights all the time.
Yeah, no shit. That's pretty cool, man. All right, before I hog all of these airways, I'm gonna send it over to my co-host, Jonathan. What do you got for a fellow John?
Well, real quick. First off, I wish the host of the show would stay out of my brain, because you actually took one of my questions that I was going to ask, which is all fine and dandy. I got a couple more that I could ask. But thank you again for taking time out of your busy day to chat with us over here at Head Kick Audio. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So the first question I got for you, you touched on it a little bit, I guess, answering some questions before, but I noticed that you fought in the UFC early on in your career, and then you bounced around a couple of promotions, and now you're fighting at Bellator. Do you think you found your home at Bellator? Is that where your career kind of? Do you think that's where your career needed to go, or is that just kind of where life kind of led you?
At the time when I went to Bellator, I think it was the best possible thing for me. I think it was the perfect scenario. I've really enjoyed fighting for Bellator. They've been great. If my only complaint I could possibly have is I'd like to stay busier and fight more, but they've been a great organization. There's nothing I could say negative about them. And I don't have any plans of going anywhere. You never know where the future is going to lead you. I'm not going to say anything for sure, but I still enjoy fighting for Bellator, and I consider myself, a Bellator guy.
Yeah, you're right. Is this your first fight of the year?
Yeah, it's my first fight this year. I had to. My wife and I went to Thailand in May, and I was teaching jiu-jitsu over there, and then we did a vacation for our anniversary. over there. So I was gone for a while. So I was trying to fight right before I left, and that didn't work out. So then I was gone for 2 weeks, and I was expecting to jump right into a training camp when I came back, and just couldn't make it happen. I know it takes a lot to make a fight. You've got to have the right card. You got to have the right opponent that says yes. And so it's kind of been a long time. I hadn't fought. It'll be almost a full year by the time I get back in the cage.
Yeah.
And I'd like to fight 3 times a year. So it's that's something that kind of sucks, but it gives me time to, number one, get better. Really focus on things that I haven't been doing well, and number 2, have time to focus on my gym and grow it. So that's good.
That's really good to hear. Yeah, I wish I could have seen you fight earlier this year, but I'm really stoked to see you fight later on this year. Do you have like any sort of game plan when preparing for a fight, or not fight, but a fighter per se, or do you just stay fight ready all year long?
I try to stay in pretty good shape, especially now. We've got several good pros that trained with us. So, guys have fights coming up, so I do a lot of cardios with them, stuff like that. But, obviously, I'm less than 8 weeks out now. I'll be 7 weeks out tomorrow. So it's time to start game planning, prepping, up in the cardio, make sure I'm in better shape, and then working on a specific game plan for that opponent.
Nice. Now, I got just a couple more questions for you, if you don't mind. Now, are you a fight fan?
I used to be a huge fight fan and watch every fight. Now, the only time I really watch fights is if a lot of the jiu-jitsu guys at our gym want to watch, we'll get together and watch them. But I don't watch a ton of fights now.
Oh, okay. So when you did watch a lot of fights, who was your favorite fighter to watch?
My favorite fighter by far before I turned pro and started, fighting a ton was Tito Ortiz. He's kind of the guy that I watched and was like, I can do that. I'm a wrestler, and when I was in college, say I can do that. So I watched everyone in his fights. So I'm still a fan of Tito. I've trained with him. I like the guy, and always pulling for him. I was pumped to see him get his last win.
Nice. Now, do you kind of like emulate the fighting style of Ortiz since you like watching him fight?
No, I think I'm a different fighter than him. I'm not I can't be that style of guy. So like I said, I like watching him fight. He kind of got me into it, but I think I'm a different type guy now.
Gotcha. Okay, and the final question I got for you. I like to hang out with the family, play some video games, watch TV, just chill and just be a fat lazy slob. What do you like to do in your spare time when you're not training for a fight?
Man, my wife and I, we've got 3 labs. We live right at the beach, so we've got a boat. So anytime I'm not training, we're out on one of the islands, letting the dogs play and swim. And if I'm not doing that, if the water's calm and there's not a lot of wind, then usually me and a couple of training partners are out fishing.
Yeah, fishing. I gotta get me out to the lake, man. It's been too long.
Yeah.
It's been too fucking long.
Anything
else for shelter?
No, that is all I've got for you, my friend. Thank you again for taking time out of your day for talking with us, and I'll shoot you back over to the host. What else you got, Steve?
Guys, thanks.
Okay, yeah, dude, seriously. I know it's been tough trying to get this whole thing down, but we do really appreciate the time that you're giving us. And this has been a lot of fun. Like you said, you're 8 weeks out. Is there any type of hesitation if your opponent falls out, taking a new opponent?
No, that's part of the game. It's a hard thing to go to a training camp without being injured. So
Yeah.
I always kind of look at that when I sign a contract as just who knows who it's going to be at the end of this. So while we have a specific training camp for the individual, I'm still doing the same thing I do all the time too. So that if somebody else is a different game plan, then I'm ready for that.
Okay, and with you not fighting as often, it kind of sounds like it's getting opponents to agree to fight you is the biggest issue. Why do you think that is?
I don't know that that's what it is.
Seems like it's
that
me.
may not. Yeah, it may not be that. It might just be, timing. But I think, at the end of the day, it's been the same thing my whole career. When I got cut from the UFC, it took me, a year and a half to get 3 fights because, people who don't wrestle well don't want to fight good wrestlers. They don't want to end up on bottom for an entire fight. Mm-hmm. And, I can understand that. It's frustrating because that's sport. So I feel like, don't turn fights down, like that. But, it happens, and like I said, that might not be the problem, but if it is, it is. I guess that's just the way things work.
Okay, I got you. Now, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but have you ever turned down a fight?
I tell you one that I turned down that haunts me to this day, and it wasn't me turning it down. I accepted it, gosh, now I'm going to have trouble remembering his name. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. He trained out of Georgia. Gosh, I can't remember his name. Anyway, they called me and asked me to fight him, and I said yes. And my coach at the time had trained with his coaches and didn't want me to fight him. And I argued and argued, but finally at the end of the day, I got to go along with what my coach says. And I turned that one down, and it still bothers me that I turned that down.
Damn, okay. So we don't turn down fights. We take on any and all comers.
Well, if I'm, I talked to my manager before fights, and we kind of go through things together. I try to take what everybody has to say. If my manager says I don't like this, I think we got something else coming up, then okay, as long as something else is coming up, that's fine. But as far as especially, back then when I was looking for fights all the time, turning a fight down really hurt because I was, at one time when I was cut right after I left, got cut from the UFC, it was hard to find fights. Somebody wanted to fight a young guy that's trying to fight his way back to the UFC, and to turn that down, it still bothers me big time.
Yeah, I show that you've had quite a few canceled fights as well, and I'm looking at them here. And those would have been some fucking really exciting matchups. Holy shit.
Yeah. That was kind of the game for a long time. It's hard to find fights if you're not, fighting out of your hometown. And, and guys get last second, they don't want to do it, and they pull out. Mm-hmm. I think sports changed a lot for guys that are coming up. But, back then it was really hard to find lower level fights, especially if you fought at a big level. Nobody wanted to fight you.
Yeah, because you had a lot of success really early in your career.
Yeah, nobody told me you were supposed to fight easy fights your first few pro fights. So I just fought the toughest guys I could get to fight me my first few fights, and then out of my first 3 fights or first 4 fights, 3 of the guys had fought for the UFC.
Yeah, goddamn. I mean, it doesn't look like. Okay, if you look at your record, at the time you took these fights, these guys, they were world-class fighters. You got Dan Miller, you got Gerald Harris, you got Jason McDonald. I mean, even transferring over to your Bellator career, Brandon Halsey, former champ, Dustin Jacoby, he's doing really good things in kickboxing. Kendall Brill fought for a title, Jason Radcliffe. I mean, a lot of these guys, especially one that really stands out to me, and not because, the guy's good, but because of the size of this guy, is your last fight in Chidi Njokwani. Okay?
Yeah.
You're not the biggest middleweight, and that guy is fucking huge.
Yeah, he was long, so that one really sucked. I just had to have the game plan of let him hit me till he messes up and lets me take him down.
I mean, that's probably not the game plan you wanted, but, I mean, he fucked up, and he took that L in the first round by your favorite choke ever, the rear naked choke.
Yeah. The dumbest fight I ever took was my second pro fight. I fought Roberto Traven, who had multiple fights in the UFC. He was a 2-time ADCC champion in Jiu-Jitsu, multiple-time world champion. And I remember people like, "Are you sure you want this fight?" Like, yeah, why not? And then I knocked him out. And now later on in my career, I was like, "Oh, that probably wasn't the smartest fight to take when I didn't really know anything about fighting."
Yeah, but I'd say even though you went about it the wrong way, if you're talking about like, you know, how careers are traveled these days, I mean, that's got to make you feel good about where you're at right now.
Yeah, you know, I know I've faced, you know, really tough opponents green. So now that I'm not green, I know I'm ready to take on those guys.
Okay, and real quick before I let you go, I know we're still quite a ways away from the fight, but how do you get it done, and in what round?
You know, gosh, rear naked choke, right? You know, I think the game plan is to go out there and, you know, fill him out standing up. He's pretty sharp on the feet, but I don't think he necessarily throws stuff with purpose. So look to make him pay for that. I think he'll shoot on me once I tag him, and we'll see where it goes from there. Obviously, I want to get him out there as quickly as possible, but I'm ready, you know, ready to go 3 rounds of the battle. But I don't know. I don't usually predict how a fight's going to go because it never ends the way I think it's going to.
Yeah. Well, definitely not, because you never predict a rear naked choke, and you always get it.
I was so sure my last fight was going to go by arm triangle, and that didn't happen. So
that is one of my favorite submissions, sir.
Yeah, I like that one a lot, and I never get it.
Well, and people always make the mistake of not hopping all the way over and turning their body like a, you know, a clock, an arm on a clock. So
yeah,
it's getting harder and harder to watch people mess that up. And I'm not a black belt or anything like that, but it's like, okay, jump over. I think people seen it done from mountain, and they're like, oh, I squeeze hard enough, I can do it too. Idiots.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you for your time. I want to give you, as long as you want, to thank or give a shout out to whoever you want, training partners, sponsors, whatever. The floor is yours. Take as long as you want. Go ahead, my man.
You know, obviously, number one, my wife, she puts up with everything. Corey Crumpler, he's actually fighting next weekend. He's one of my main training partners for everything. Absolute monster. Joe Selecki, who, you know, he's in the UFC. He's got a fight coming up, who helps a ton and everything. Do all my cardios with him and a lot of grappling with him. Derek Brunson, great training partner, and so many guys, more guys than I can, you know, count. Everybody at Salty Dog Jiu-Jitsu, and Jimmo out here, Jeff Jimmo's, you know, MMA coach here in Charlotte. And then, you know, as far as sponsorships, if you're anywhere where there's a Clean Eats, check them out. It's the best clean food you can find, and you know, if you don't want to eat healthy and you're down in Florida, check out Slicer's Hoagies. Might not be healthy, but with the best food, best hoagie you can find. And Phalanx, you know, for jiu-jitsu, it makes the best hoagie gear there is, and great geese too. So check all them out.
All right. Well, again, thank you for your time. My dachshund is going to eat me alive if I don't start petting him and take him outside. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go, dude. Thanks for the time. Good luck in your fight with Steamus, or however you pronounce his name. I don't want to mess it up. I'm pretty sure I've already slaughtered it.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.
Good luck, man. We'll talk again. Have a good one.